Right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome back. So this video is going to be about conditional probability. Let's start with an example of throwing a six-face die. This is going to be a fair die, so every face has an equal probability of coming out. And I'm going to ask you, what is the probability of getting a 4 once you throw this fair six-face die? And I'm sure you'll say promptly that the probability of getting a 4 is 1 over 6. And the explanation is fairly straightforward. 4 is 1 among 6 possible outcomes. You could get a 1, you could get a 2, you could get a 3, a 4, 5, or a 6. Each outcome is equally probable, and therefore the probability of getting a 4 is 1 divided by 6. So nothing new so far. But now let's consider a slightly different example. I'm asking you, what is the probability of getting a 4, so again, getting a 4, but assuming you got an even number. So I'm now placing an additional condition on the probability I want to know. And this is an example of a conditional probability. So we write this, as you can see, by drawing a vertical line. And so what comes after the vertical line, so what is on the right-hand side of the vertical line in your probability formula, that part indicates the condition you are interested in. And in this case, the condition is that you got an even number. So what is the probability of getting a 4 on the condition that you got an even number, or assuming that you got an even number? Now this probability is 1 divided by 3. Why is that? Well, the reason is quite straightforward. There are 3 even numbers that you could get, right? You could get a 2, you could get a 4, you could get a 6. So when we condition on an even numbers, it means that we focus our attention only on the even numbers and we leave aside all the other numbers. So the possibilities we need to consider in this case are not all the numbers that we could get, 1 through 6, but only the even numbers. And there are 3 of them, 2, 4, and 6, and 4 is one of them, and so the probability of getting an 4, assuming you got an even number, is 1 divided by 3. So I want you to pause for a second and really grasp the difference between a, let's say, unconditional probability statement. So that's the probability of getting a 4, for example. That's 1 over 6. Here you simply need to consider all the possible outcomes. There are 6 possible outcomes, and 4 is one of them, so the probability is 1 over 6. And contrast this with the conditional probability statement. For example, the probability of getting a 4, assuming that you got an even number. Since the condition here is that you got an even number, and there are 3 even numbers, the probability of getting a 4 in this case is 1 over 3. And so this second probability statement is an example of a conditional probability, because the probability of getting a 4 is conditional on the assumption that you got an even number.